Hello, hello, everyone. Okay. Hello. How is everyone? Bear with me. Actually, I'm running a few minutes behind because I was talking to my baby boy, my oldest, my original baby. He's up at college and I wanted to talk to him and he was telling me some things and I wanted to hear all about it. So I wasn't gonna rush my baby off the FaceTime. I figured you guys would understand. Hey Jonas, how are you? Hey Derek. Boy, Derek, you better, you already know, Derek. You already know. You better be talking tonight, sir. Kind sir. Okay, let me get up my information here so we can pick up where we left off. So we are on day 11 of the 30-day Boss Up Challenge. Day 11. And let's see. I want to do my acknowledgments here. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you better be ready to talk tonight, buddy. I'm looking for Barbara too. So if you see Barbara, let her know I'm looking for her. Okay, let's see. All right, so we talked about how to start your business up, how to make your business official from the beginning. So that would include establishing your legal structure. That would include getting your tax identification number with the IRS, all applicable state accounts. These are the things that we went over yesterday. And we're going to finish today talking more about that, but I want to spend more time talking about the financing aspect of trying to get the money. Hey, Madge! So we're going to talk about the financial aspect of where can we come up with some money to do what we're trying to do here. Hey, Teresa, where are we going to find this money to do business? Because I know that people don't always have a trust fund or a lump sum of capital sitting around. So it's like we have to get creative in how we do things. So we're going to talk a lot about that after we finish with some of the basics. My acknowledgments are Jessica Hubbard. She has a dance studio called 757 Dance Studio. Hey Herb, how are you? And you can look her up on Facebook, but I believe her business is under her personal page, if I'm not mistaken. But Jessica Ann Hubbard, what I'll try to do is come back when I'm done after the Q&A part, and then I'll try to type in her information. But she has it going on. She's very talented. She has a dance studio, and she's doing really well. So I wanted to shout her out today. So thank you. I always say welcome to any newcomers that are here for Business Builder Basics. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Business Builder Basics, and you can join the Facebook group. That's an option for you. And you can also like the Facebook page under the same name. Hey everybody, how are you guys? So I also want to check in for goals. Every day of this 30-day Boss Up Challenge, we have a goal that we set. And last night, I left it pretty up in the air. I allowed people to establish their own goal. So I want you to think about what your goal was and did you accomplish your goal? Did you accomplish your goal? If you accomplished your goal, pat yourself on the back quickly, and then get back to work, because we're going to be setting goals every day. If you did not meet your goal, I want you to try to determine why you didn't meet your goal. Did you aim too high? Did you not put in the time required? Goal setting itself is a skill. You know, you need to be able to set goals that are attainable, but yet not so easy that it doesn't challenge you. So there's an art of setting goals, basically, and part of this 30-day boss up challenge is for you to learn what your threshold is for goal accomplishment. Like how good are you with setting goals that you can accomplish, because you want to have some successes, of course, with accomplishing your goals. You also want to experience some failures, believe it or not, because in the failure helps you to re-strategize and learn either what you can do better, and it also helps build up your resilience. Because in business, if you take on this endeavor of becoming your own boss, you are going to face failure, but you're going to need to learn how to get up and keep going in the face of failure. You're going to have to learn how to not give up. And so this 30-day boss up challenge is here to help with that as well, because setting those goals and not always reaching those goals, how do you handle that? Do you disappear? Do you stop showing up, for the broadcast? What do you do? How do you handle when you don't succeed at your goals? And how do you handle it when you succeed? Because if you succeed and you're patting yourself on the back a little too long, you may be wasting time or getting a little bit too cocky or confident about your ability to do things, and there's so much more to be done. So there's always balance with things. There's always balance. So that's the goal check-in. And now we're going to get to the content. You all know that I like to give you the educational component within 20 minutes. I like the first 20 minutes of the video to be me giving almost like a lecture style, seminar, if you will. And then after that, I open up the chat for Q&A of any type, as long as it's business related. Okay, so let's see here. Now, yesterday, I want to just make it clear, I was talking about business in Maryland as far as the website I directed everyone to, which is the businessexpress.maryland.gov. If you go there, you're going to see a lot of what I'm talking about on there. Hey, Michelle, how are you? You're going to see that on there. So please write that down, businessexpress.maryland.gov. This is a part of the Maryland State Department of Assessments and Taxation, and they are the ones responsible for they're who you fill out the paperwork to form your business structure, whether it's a corporation, LLC, etc. So when you go here, and now they have it where you can actually do this online. It used to be that you had to send in paperwork and everything, and you could like pay extra to expedite it. But now they have this handy dandy system where you can actually, go in and do it right online. So I want to go over, we left off talking about applying for your tax accounts, obtaining the proper license and permit for your business, business insurance. But I want to go back and make sure I did not miss anything before I jump to the money part of it. Okay, let's see. All right, now that you've established your business, right? Based on what we talked about yesterday, if you establish your business, where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? You want to make sure that you maintain good standing. With the state of Maryland, they call it good standing. That's your status, meaning whatever your legal entity structure is, there are annual reports you have to file and things that you have to do to stay in good standing, meaning to be able to legitimately do business. If you don't do those things, you will not be in good standing, and then you'll be in that status for a while, and that status will ultimately result in forfeiture of your corporation or your LLC or your trade names if you don't do the things you're supposed to do. So keep in mind, I'm not going to go over everything I went over in yesterday's video. Part of the 30-day Boss Up Challenge is for people to tune in each evening. But if you missed, if you're coming in on day 11, that's no problem. You can still continue to tune in after this and go back and watch the other videos to see what you missed. But the main thing you need to know is when you start your business, make sure you are choosing the right structure for your business that works best for your business, and make sure you establish all of the right accounts and everything that you need so that you do not get in any type of trouble with like IRS or the state of Maryland, because that can be a real problem for you, especially if you have government contracts or different things that you're trying to do. You have to be in good standing. All right. So, you want to make sure you pay your business taxes, maintain your license and permits. So like your use and occupancy permit if you're going to use a building, your license, if you're a child care center, make sure that you don't, have a license that has expired, or assisted living. You have to stay on top of those things. Getting into business, like starting a business, can be challenging, but maintaining a business is also challenging. And so some people might be good at one thing, but not good at the other. And that's fine if you have a team. You might be the one who's good at starting them up and getting them established. And there may be somebody else who's good with like managing the day-to-day. So, but you're going to need to know how to maintain the businesses, or everything that you did from the beginning won't matter because you'll go out of business. If you don't do these things correctly, these are the people who can actually put you out of business against your wishes. So you want to pay your business taxes. You want to have the right accounts. Now, growing your business. Once you have your business going, how do you grow it? Let's say you've been going along, and an example would be when I started the home daycare. I was the provider myself. I started getting children in, and then I was opening up other locations as well, different type of businesses. I had to wait until I had enough children before I could choose to hire someone to take over my role. But every single location that I had, I always was the first person to work that facility. Oftentimes, like with the assisted living homes, I would live there myself and be the one doing the work. And then I would meet people along the way that would come and help. But ultimately, I had to be the one to do it because I didn't have the money to pay other people to do it full time. So how do you expand your business? And the way that you can do that is by doing a lot of the work yourself to use your money to be able to expand, and then network and meet people so that you can have people assist you with expanding. But the money part, I'm going to share a couple things that I've done that I call creative financing. So when I first got started, I did not have cash. I didn't have enough money to do anything really. So what I did, I had good credit. I bought a bunch of houses in rapid succession. I bought like 3 houses within 2 to 3 months of each other, I want to say, because I was buying them so quickly before they would show up on my credit report. I was already trying to like settle on the additional properties, because your debt to income ratio gets screwy when you buy things. But if you buy things in rapid succession, it takes a while to show up on your credit report. And so you can rack up all these things in a short amount of time. So that was one strategy that I used, which was using good credit. I had credit cards with high limits because I had good credit. From as early as I had credit, I started establishing good credit. So I did not have bad credit until after I started business. It couldn't afford to pay the bills at certain points of the business. But in the beginning, credit is really good if you don't have anything else, because you may be able to take cash advances and buy equipment and furnishings with your credit. Be careful though. It's a risk, because if you're using your credit to get these things with the idea that your business eventually will make the money to be able to pay for these things, you need to try your best to make it successful. It gets real scary, okay? Because sometimes what you thought you were going to do in business, you don't do, and now you've run up your credit and everything, so you can run into problems. So be careful with that, but it's definitely a tool you can use. Another thing that I did, I sought out investors and partners and collaborators and shareholders. And one of the people was actually my sister. I'm here at her house now, actually. I basically invited my closest family and friends to a meeting, and I did a presentation, and I wanted to get people on board. I did a PowerPoint presentation. I gave them the business plan, and I told them what it is that I wanted to do. And there were some people that were on board, and there were some that were not interested. And my sister was one of the people that was on board, and she was able to, just because I asked, basically, she was able to take out equity from a home that she has and gave me, I think it was $30,000 basically. At that time, $30,000, it might sound like it was a lot of money, but it was gone quickly when you consider like all the things that we had to purchase. I also purchased things that I really didn't need. I didn't know better back then, so I wasn't as frugal as I should have been. But you know, that $30,000 went quickly. So that was one way. You look for investors, look for people who believe in what you're trying to do and they trust you. And I will say, to this day, I've never missed a beat with repaying her for that line of equity that she has. I always make sure that she gets paid and that the mortgage at that house gets paid for the business that runs out of it. So you want to, being able to convince people to believe in you is a skill. It's a skill. It's not about manipulation or anything, but you know, some people are unable to recruit the support of other people. And one thing I'm really thankful for is the ability that I have to do that. It doesn't work all the time, but I do have the ability to get people on board for something. And now it's a lot easier now because I actually have something to show for it. So I'm more credible now than I was back then when I was 25 and had nothing, basically. I had nothing and I was not running businesses. So for me to convince anybody to give me $30,000 or to come on board or to quit their job and work with me full time, I feel like that's a skill that you all want to develop because it can help you to get money, basically. Another way for getting creative financing. So yesterday I talked about not playing around with the taxes, right? Employer taxes and things like that. When you're working a job, your employer have that money, the tax money that was withheld from your check, right? They're supposed to take that money and forward it on to the proper agencies. You have time to do it, so they might have to do it like quarterly, like every 3 months, or they may have to do it bi-weekly depending on the size of their business. Employers are also supposed to make a contribution to that. That's not actually the employee's money per se, but it's a percentage of their gross wages that the employer is responsible for paying. And that's why having employees is expensive for employers, because it's not just when an employer is employing you and paying you, it's not just the money. They're not just paying you the money you see on your check. They have to pay a percentage towards unemployment insurance, FICA, you know, Medicare, those things basically. So it can be expensive to actually have W-2 employees, and that's why you see a lot of businesses cutting corners and trying to classify people as independent contractors, people who get 1099s at the end of the year versus a W-2. You have businesses that try to do that because it's cheaper to do it, but it's really not. If you really are an employee, it's really not, you're not supposed to be classified as an independent contractor, and the employer can get into some trouble if they do that. So my point is, the employer taxes, those things that are supposed to be paid quarterly. And I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to, have any kind of backlash from this. Let me say it like this. I know of someone who was running a business, and when she was short on money and she wanted to put money towards expanding and taking other risks to get to the next level, she would actually take the 941, it's called 941 taxes, 941 report that goes to the IRS. She would, instead of forwarding that money to the IRS right away, she would wait on that. She would use that money to do what was necessary at the time to stay in business and to grow in business. And what ends up happening is when you get around to filing your quarterly report, then you have to come up with the money to give to them. If you don't have the money to give to them, you create a balance with them, basically. You create a balance, and that balance will have interest and penalties, for not paying it. But what this person did by her doing that, whenever she hit hard times or whenever she needed extra money to expand, she almost put the IRS in a situation where she forced them to loan her money. Okay, it's like, she forced them to loan her money because she had the money from the employees withholding and the money that she was supposed to add to that and pay forward. She would hold on to that, and really apparently she had a lot of faith, I guess, that she would one day be in a position to pay those debts. But it's almost like if you don't get a small business loan, or if you don't get a loan from the bank, which is very difficult to do, then you look for ways where you can pull money from things, where like you're squeezing blood from a turnip almost. And I call it robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's a real janky way, I guess you can say, of doing business, but I try not to judge, because I know there are a lot of people who, if they don't get creative in how they get their money, they'll never have a chance to start anything, because they don't have the opportunities. They may not have rich family. They may not have trust funds, so where are they going to get the money that they need to do something? So sometimes people have to get creative. And so the person who did this with these 941 taxes, it's not like you're stealing, because you are responsible for that debt just like a loan. It's just that it's going to compound interest just like a loan would. You know what I mean? The only difference is the IRS, they're the one creditor that actually, if you don't give them what you owe them after they start getting impatient with you, they can actually go and take your assets. They can take money out of your bank account if you don't do what you're supposed to do. It takes quite a while for it to get to that point, but it's like they're a creditor with a lot of power. So it's not like your credit card, it's not like some of the other debts, or like your car note, where you don't pay and they might repossess your car, but they can't go into your bank account and take their car note. The IRS, they can get their money. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to use a strategy like that, number one, make sure it's absolutely necessary, and that you only take what you need, and that you are using it because you really feel like that to use that money is going to generate more money and put you in a better situation to either stay in business or to grow in business. Don't just make moves like that because you want to go buy something like a new house or car, or or just do things that really aren't necessary. Be very cautious with that. So that's one way. A move that I made, I bought 3 houses, remember? 3 houses in rapid succession. The first house that I bought, by the first year, it had already had equity in it because it was inflated. Basically, that's when the housing market was just a mess. There was a lot of predatory lending going on, but that house had some equity in it. However, by the time it had equity in it, I had already ruined my credit from not being able to pay all the bills initially from when the business started. So I was unable to refinance the home to pull the equity out of it myself. So here's what I came up with. I actually asked my mother and my stepfather to buy the house from me at the higher cost so that basically they're buying it from me, but it's still my house and I'm still responsible for paying the bills. It's just a transaction basically. They bought the house from me at a higher price so that when we went to settlement, I got cut a big check from the difference. Now I use that money from that check to get caught up on bills and to continue moving forward in business. This is like, I'm talking like the first year of startup, which the first couple of years usually are your hardest. Basically, you're trying to like recoup from all your startup expenses. You're trying to build your brand, build your customers. So it's really difficult. So that's a maneuver that I used. And again, maybe everybody's not in a position where they have parents that are in a position to buy a house from them or trust them to even make a move like that. But again, my mother and my stepfather, they were very supportive and they were willing to help me with that. And so to this day, that home actually is still in their name, but it's just understood that it's actually my home. That maneuver was simply to get money out of it so that I could have more capital to work with. So that was like, these are things that I consider almost like desperate moves, desperate measures, because it was either figure something out or go out of business. And as you can see, 13 years later, I did not go out of business. But sometimes you have to get creative. So taking equity out of a home, selling a home to a family member or someone that you trust where you keep your property, but you're able to, get the money out of it. If you're unable to finance it, refinance yourself. And I'm trying to think, what other things did I do? Oh, bartering. And so when you start up, if you're doing certain type of businesses, like for me, I had a lot of home-based businesses. They were like residential care facilities and child care facilities. And so bartering became a very powerful tool for me because I was meeting people and I was able to work out a deal where I meet someone, right? And I want to employ them, but I can't really afford to pay them all that they would need to be paid. So I'll say, well, look, you can move into the house. You can get free rent, free utilities, but give me 15 hours a week of administrative assistance. Or you watch the kids the first half of the day, I'll watch the kids the second half of the day, and you can live here rent free. Those type of deals. Or, oh, you have a child and you need a job. Okay, I'll give you a job. Your child can come for half the price as long as you agree to work for this amount of money. That kind of stuff. Willing and dealing, basically. You have to come up with arrangements that get you through. And it's really difficult because when your business is in a position where that's how you have to maneuver, it's very stressful because you're working out these deals that oftentimes they don't always work out the way you want them to. So you end up having a lot of like drama and situations that you wouldn't have had otherwise because you're doing all of these weird kind of things, but it's actually like necessary, if you're not able to figure anything else out. And one thing I realized is by owning a lot of properties, people always need a place to live. And that's one thing that I capitalized on this entire time is people needing a place to live. If a person doesn't have to worry about getting thrown out in the street, then they're more flexible in their ability to work with you and your growing company because they know they have a roof over their head. There have been several people where I have provided them a vehicle, access to a vehicle that they could use, you know. So it's just trying to come up with these barter deals. That is a way that you can help finance your business. The other ways, this is creative financing I'm talking about, but of course some of the more traditional ways, bank loan, small business administration loan, those things are very difficult to come across in my opinion. I haven't tried lately, but that was not something that I was successful with getting before, so I had to come up with other ways. But you can shoot your shot with those things initially and see how you do. See if you're successful with that. If not, then you may want to consider some of these things. The other way that you can, get your money for your business is like look at your household budget and look at the way that you're spending money. Is the way that you're spending money wasteful? Do you go on a vacation once or twice a year that usually costs you a couple $1,000s? Well, is it too far out the realm of your imagination that maybe you could sacrifice going on that vacation for a couple of years, and by the time those few years are up, now you have like an extra $6,000-7,000? Yeah, you didn't get to go to the Bahamas, you didn't get to go to Dominican Republic, you didn't get to go to England like you had planned, but you have now $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 because you made that sacrifice. Another thing is, it doesn't just have to be the big vacations that cost you thousands of dollars. You can look at things that you do in your daily life that translate into money. My famous example, and I know y'all tired of hearing me talk about Starbucks coffee, but you have people that are spending like $5 and $7 on a cup of coffee every day. And that can add up to be quite a bit of money. That's money that you can be saving, money that you can be investing in the stock market, and you still can get coffee. It just doesn't have to be Starbucks coffee. It can be you get yourself a machine at home and you get your little disc, put them in there with your little flavors, and you make your own coffee and you save that money. Going out to eat. People love to go out to eat. When you go out to eat, especially if it's more than just you and one other person, if it's like you have children, that can get very costly because you're leaving a tip. You're ordering your appetizers, your foods, your drinks, and before you know it, you're eating out and you're easily spending $100 each time you eat out on the low end if you're a family. Then, if you're a person who works downtown or wherever you work, if you're a happy hour person, look and see how much money you're spending. Even though they tell you you're getting a deal because it's happy hour, how many drinks are you buying? How many appetizers are you buying? How much are you spending by going to these happy hours routinely? When you go out on the weekends, or even I know a lot of people who are out during the week, when you're going to these cigar bars or these bars or clubs and you're buying, like a $20 cigar, or you're buying a drink that's 3 times the amount that it's really worth. When you do that, that's money that you could be saving. So the other thing is, when you look at your amenities where you live in your home, do you have Netflix, Hulu, Vudu, Suku, Boo Boo, whatever? What are all these things that you have that you're paying like $9.99 a month, $19.99 a month, $10.99 a month, $12.99 a month? Because when you look at if you look at just one of those things, it doesn't seem like it's really that much, right? But if you actually go and look, because I did that not too long ago, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have all these different things, and I'm barely watching them. The children, all they watch is YouTube these days, it seems like. And so by the time I looked at it, I think it was easily $100 a month I was spending on subscriptions for things that weren't really in use. And even if they were in use, Do you really need all of them? Can you sacrifice and do without some of them? Can you just have one of those things? Cable. Cable is becoming obsolete, but for those who still have cable, you can't tell me your bill is not at least $150. I had a cable bill with DirecTV. It was over $300, and it did not include internet and phone. It was just DirecTV only. And I was like, what in the world is this? When you look at your bills and you take the time and look at your household budget, you can really start to trim fat off of it, basically. Mine was $200. You know what I'm talking about then. It's crazy. And then you're thinking about it, you're really not even watching it. And it seems like whenever you try to go and watch something, you got to pay for like individual episodes. Exactly. Turned it off. Because when you look at that money, that's pretty substantial. And if you're comfortable and you have a lot of money to waste, fine, but I don't really know many people in that situation. So the people I'm speaking to are the people that are looking for any little way that they can cut corners or save money so that they can have money to like start up a business. You cut cable, right? You got to cut cable, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. Once you start going hard building your business, you're not gonna have time to watch TV anyway. You're gonna be so busy doing things all the time that when you do have a free moment, you're probably going to take a shower if you feel like it, and take a nap or get some sleep or spend a little time with your kids. That's when you're in business builder mode. So cable television, that's a biggie. So I said eating out. Of course, like the clubs, that includes the strip clubs and everything. The dollars add up. Making it rain adds up. VIP bottle service adds up. So if you cut some of those things, you don't have to cut all of them, but if you become more mindful of what you're spending, you can really start to like cut things and then lose the sense of entitlement. This idea, when I talk to people and they're complaining about their financial situation and I start making these type of suggestions, they're like, they get an attitude and they screw their face up and they're like, well, I work hard. I deserve that. I'm going to get my vacation at least once a year. I'm not giving that up. And people talk that way. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to try to talk a person out of it. But a lot of people are not willing to sacrifice. And when you're in boss mode, sacrifice it's very necessary. And a lot of people are not built for it because a lot of people feel like they deserve nice things or they should have nice things. They want a Louis bag. They want, a very nice car. They don't care if they're basically paycheck to paycheck having these nice things. They feel like as long as their bills are paid and they get that paycheck, they're good to go. They're not really concerned about having disposable income. They're just like, they feel like they're living the American dream, but it's really like an illusion. Okay. So the creative financing is also about, one way to make money is to save money. If you save money, it's like you made that money. So let's start looking at saving as the new way of earning. You just have to be willing to eliminate some things. Another thing that I started doing in like the last couple years, well, maybe about a year and a half, I started shopping at the thrift store. Yes. I started shopping at the thrift store, and I would go there and find things that were in good condition. The reason I went is because I was looking for things for the bed and breakfast, because I was doing a lot of like refurbishing furniture and things like that. But I started looking at their clothes and everything, and like for business attire and things like that, I was able to find like a lot of nice stuff, because you have somebody else who they may have spent a lot of money for it when it was new for them. Now they're ready to get it out of their closet for whatever reason. Maybe they can't fit it anymore, or they're just done with it and they're on to the next. But now it's in good shape, and I just paid $2.98 for it. And that person probably paid like $89 for it. the thrift store, some people feel like they're too good for it, but I tell you one thing, I started doing it for myself. Then I took my kids, and my daughter, she just loved it because she could just almost feel like she was going on a shopping spree. We would have like 2 carts filled with stuff, and by the time it's all like rung up, it's no more than $100, and we have like 20 outfits for her. It's hard to find things for boys. I admit I haven't had much luck. I mean, you can find jeans and that kind of thing, but it's more difficult to find nice things for boys. But for girls, the thrift store, give it a shot. Check it out. Another thing is, I gave up. Not that I was ever really that fly. I mean, I never really was a fashion plate. So maybe that's why it wasn't difficult for me to start looking like a bum, basically. But some of you all have run into me in the streets, and I'm looking really bummy. You might have caught me like where I'm working hands-on doing physical labor, or I simply just am not all dolled up and done up. And so you have to think about what's important to you. Do you need the red bottoms? Do you absolutely have to have red bottoms? Because Payless, I went to Payless, and I still admit most of their stuff is whack. But they actually are coming up, though. I've seen some things there that were like doable. Definitely, I didn't mind buying shoes from there to wear to like my externship for like work attire. So think about those things. And like I said, I'm going to a thrift store and I make the kind of money that I make. I don't have to shop at a thrift store, but I shop at a thrift store because just because I have the money to spend doesn't mean I should be spending it in that way. They closing their stores, so no more coming up for Payless. Oh no, they're closing? They probably, any of the stores that are brick and mortar, they have to like pay for a building. They're not doing well right now because of all of the Alibaba and Amazon. They're really struggling right now because they can't afford to keep their prices low because they have to pay employees and they have to pay for space. So yeah, a lot of places are not surviving. You're going to start seeing a lot of empty storefronts. But guess what though? This is why I'm here, because I'm here to tell people Payless is leaving, places are closing down. Now that storefront, that could be your space. That could be your space for your shoe store, or for your for the clothes that you make. I know there's someone I need to shout out on one of these shows. She Dejanay, she is a designer and she makes clothes, and I don't know what her situation is now if she has an actual store, but one of those storefronts could be hers. We need to bring industry to our communities, basically. We need to bring the industry to our communities because otherwise these storefronts, they're just going to be like ghost towns, basically. There's going to be nothing going on, and even some of the major conglomerate companies are disappearing because even they can't sustain. Even they're trying to figure out how to stay in business. What Kmart, Toys R Us. Think about these big ones. Now, how come we can't come in there with our own products and sell to our own community? And when I say our own community, I'm not just saying black people, because in our community we have Hispanics, I've seen white people. So when I'm talking about community, I'm talking about the sense of community that you have where you walk outside and anywhere within like a 5 to 10 mile radius, you can get everything you need and want and be happy and satisfied with those things, the quality of what you get. You don't feel like you have to like go up, 30 miles away or go up to Tyson's Corner or Potomac or wherever you go that you feel is nice. You feel like, you can stay in your community because your community has everything you need. You have farmers in your community, so you get fresh fruit and vegetables and they're selling it. That's what we need to do. But in order to be successful with that, we have to keep our dollar in our community. Our dollar cannot keep going to Louis Vuitton and Prada and, I hate to say Apple, but if our dollars keep going there, They won't stay in our community. We don't patronize like the people in our own community. We don't patronize them. We'll actually go out of our community and spend more money on something just because it's a brand. So those are the things you need to consider when you're trying to figure out, how am I going to find this money to start up a business? Think about your household budget. The goal for tonight is going to be, look at your household budget. If you don't do a budget, because I know a lot of people just wing it. If you don't do a budget, print out the last 2 months of bank statements that you use for your household expenses. Look at every purchase. Look at every time you swiped a card. Look at how much gas you got. Just look at every single purchase and ask yourself, was that necessary? And each thing that wasn't like an absolute necessity, you can like highlight it with like a yellow highlighter, or circle it. Each thing that wasn't absolutely necessary. And then once you go back, look at of all those things, then look and see of those things that weren't necessary, what are the things that you actually are willing to like do without, and make a conscious effort to not spend like that next month. That's the goal for tonight. You budget every month. Yeah. Some people don't budget, or they do this thing in their mind where they're like kind of, yeah, I think I should have about this much. The beauty in financial freedom is that I've gotten to a point, for the most part, where it's been a while since I've had to do this, but I don't have to like check my account or ask how much something costs when I make a purchase in public. You know, I don't have to look at my bank account balance every day. And I think that's when you're getting to a point where you're like on the right track. I'm not where I want to be, make no mistake, but I'm to the point now where, you know, if my HVAC unit blows out, the AC goes out, I can spend $4,000 on a brand new HVAC unit and not finance it and just buy it straight out. You know, I can do those type of things because I'm shopping at the thrift store, because I didn't go on vacation. You know, so you have the money. So I want you guys to look at how you're spending money and figure out what you can cut out, what you're willing to cut out. And for the things you're like, well, I'm not giving that up, think more, think twice about that. Think twice about it. Add it up and see how much you spent on the things that you're unwilling to give up. And ask yourself, do I really want to be a boss? How serious am I about trying to get into business for myself? That's the goal that I want you all to have for tonight. And now I've gone past my 20 minutes, but I want to open up for Q&A right now and go back and say hi to everybody. Okay, Prudence, hi. Jason, Kevin, Fran. Michael Carter. Looks like Brian. Wesley, Charles, Gregory, hello. Thank you everybody for stopping through. Hey September, thanks for stopping through. Lorinda, thanks for stopping through. Crystal, thank you. Roxy, thank you. I see a lot of return people from last night when I had my rant. I had a rant last night, guys. I had a rant and it got pretty popular. People were tuning in for it because I was telling people about themselves. Ron, James, Stan, thank you. Team Bass always stops in. Thank you. Madge has been coming. I appreciate it. Greg, you're always coming and stopping by. See Freddie, I saw that name somewhere before. You guys, I really appreciate the ones that are checking me out. You all know what I'm doing, so when you peek in, it lets me know that you're peeking in at least just to either show some support or get a little bit of quick information. So thank you for checking in. Definitely, I see a lot of repeat people. Keep coming back, people. Don't give up on this idea of that you can be your own boss. Don't give up on that idea, because it's very possible. And I'm trying to like tell you a lot of the things that I've been able to do. It may not sound glamorous or glorious, but some of these things really worked for me. They got me through the tough times and helped me to get to the next level. So you have to be resourceful. You have to think about how to create options for yourself, because nobody's really going to do it for you. You know, nobody's really going to want it as badly as you do. So you have to be your own biggest advocate and figure out how to stay in business. I think one of the most important jobs, if not the most important job of a CEO, is to make sure the money is in the bank. To make sure the money gets in the bank. Hi, Fred. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about business right now. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here trying to inspire people to give entrepreneurship a shot. Any questions, or anybody have any suggestions, things that I didn't think of that you can put in the comment section that may help other people or even help me figure out how to get money to start a business? The corner. Yeah, the corner, the pole. So like when people are making money in ways, the only thing I will say about that is if you make any money in a way that's not legitimate or unlawful, be very careful, because later on it can bite you in the butt if for some reason you're now on the radar and if they can determine that you started your business with funds from an illegal endeavor, then you can have some problems. Yes, okay, taking money out your 401k. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. So, yeah, you can borrow against your 401k or do early. Now, just the thing with your 401k, be careful with that, because you're going to get hit with, unless you have a certain situation to change your distribution code, you're going to get hit with early withdrawal penalties, which is darn near 30%, and then you're going to have to pay the taxes. You're going to take the tax hit during that year you withdraw, and that's darn near 30%. So your 401k money, be careful with that, because it costs a lot to take from that. Now, if you're able to finesse a life situation or hardship, I think there are ways you can get around some of those penalties for early withdrawal. Tax money. Oh yeah, tax money. Yeah, your income tax return. Yep. So when people get their money, well, some people are living so irresponsibly and they've grown accustomed to getting a tax refund that that money is already spent before they even get it. When they get that tax money, I've seen people who were behind 2 months on their rent and they're getting ready to face eviction within like the next month or so, but they know that that check is coming. And so when that check comes, it's already spent, because now they're playing catch up. But they may have been doing irresponsible things, the whole time leading up to that. So now that money is already spent and can't even be used as like an investment. But the tax money, that's a good time of year for those people that do it right. One way that you can try to increase your income tax return, like if you want to try to create like this illusion that you're saving, I guess, you can lower your exemptions all the way down to like 1. And that way the highest amount of taxes are withheld from your check. And at the end of the year, when your taxes are done, if you do them, get them done correctly, and you take my advice that I did on that one video, how to minimize taxable income, you can actually have a much bigger return because you had money being withheld all along the way. I've seen a lot of people do the opposite, and I think it's terrible when you actually put your exemptions very high and they take the least amount of money from your check and you end up owing at the end of the year. Now you've created a debt. Now you're going down. Now you're not on the upward. Your trajectory is not looking good because now you're owing, because you're trying to take all the money on the front end and spend and worry about the rest later. And you're not even spending it on things that are going to generate you additional money. A lot of people just spend frivolously. I just frivolously, just every day, just swiping a card and think nothing of it because it's just $7.99 at the CVS, $11 at 7-Eleven. Now you stop by and you know, it's just you went to Checkers and you spent $8 there. You got your Starbucks coffee. And people, they don't look at it because they're these small little amounts. But I'm the person that when I go back and reconcile my accounts, because I may not look at them every day, but I do go back and reconcile everything, every single transaction. And I look at the way people spend and I'm like, wait a minute, this is so unnecessary. Like it adds up to be thousands of dollars sometimes. I'm serious. Hi, Sammy. So your tax return, your 401k, another thing I forgot to tell you guys. So if you're a student, if you're in school full time and you, it may not even be full time, but if you get financial aid, if you get federal funds basically to pay for your tuition, now you can also do like a direct loan plus, I think is what it's called. It might be for grad students. I'm not sure if they have that for undergrad, but that's where you get additional money that you can take. And you get so it's almost like a stipend, but it's a loan. So once your tuition is paid, the school owes you a refund. You get that money, and usually, depending on the situation, it could be like a lump sum. Now you can take that lump sum, but be careful because when you fill out your FAFSA form, the fine print says you're using money for school-related things. So I'm not sitting here telling you on live stream that you should take federal money that's intended for school expenses and living expenses because you're a student. I'm not telling you to take that money and use it as startup capital for a business. I'm telling you, you can take that money because those loans, they give them to you even if your credit is horrible. You know, they have low interest and they have like forbearance plans and hardship plans where if you can't pay, you're not necessarily defaulting. It's just that you're extending the life of the loan. You take that money, right? And now you use that money for your living expenses because you're a student and you need to live. And now whatever you're getting from your job, now that money becomes your capital. That's your extra money now because you're using the student loan money as your living expenses because you're a student. And that you can do. Just be careful. You know, you want to make sure that you're not taking that money and saying that you're going to take that money and use it for a business. It's all about the language and what you say. But you know, if your money's going into one account, you know, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you to do that on a live stream. You won't catch me saying that. You won't catch me telling you to break the law. But chances are they won't have any way of knowing how you spent your money. They really, giving out student loans is a billion-dollar industry for them. So they love to give out these loans to people. So student loans, that can be a way that can help you to get money. But don't abuse it. Actually do the work and get your degree, or do what you came to do, finish the class. Because if you play the system like that and you keep taking classes, getting the money, and then not really finishing the classes or failing the classes, then at some point they're going to cut you off, and you can't do that anymore. So I'm trying to think, did I leave anything else out? If anybody else has any ideas, throw it in the comments so other people can see. One thing I would suggest, making sure that you have life insurance for you and your loved ones. I don't know if this is true or not. I didn't fact check, but I know my family is very close to a family of gypsies, I guess is how they identify, or what they call themselves. And apparently the gypsies, they get life insurance policies on each other and everybody within their community or family of gypsies. They don't kill anybody, I'm suspecting. That's not what they're doing, but they know people die, right? So when people die, it's just like a practice that they have. This is what I've been told. They just have their life insurance policies on each other and everybody, not just like their children, but like because you can get a life insurance policy on just about anybody, I want to say, which I thought was strange when I found that out. Because I'm like, why would somebody have the right to take out an insurance policy on me if I'm not their spouse or their child? Or it just seems weird. But apparently you can take out life insurance on anybody. So I've been told that the gypsies use that as a money-making strategy, and they will chip in and make sure that the premiums get paid. And then when someone passes away, not that they're thrilled about it, but they do get the money. They get the money and they get the big policies, and they always start early because it's just like common practice for them. So I've been told. So yeah, life insurance. Trying to think of some other things that I may have done. Well, one thing you can do, I think I kind of said this earlier, you can wear a lot of hats in your own business when you're starting out and you need money, or when you are trying to expand and need money. So you can do your own accounting if you're pretty decent with like QuickBooks. You can do your own taxes. You can just don't hire somebody to do everything. If you need money, you may need to take on those roles short term and, pretty much hustle and struggle through it and get it done, cut corners, do what you can so you can save money where you would have been paying that to somebody. Now you don't have to pay yourself or anybody else. Now that money is there actually, and you can save quite a bit. That is something that I've done tons of times. That is something that the father of my children, who works with me, it used to be that when things got tough, he would go to work. He would just basically, instead of scheduling staff to be the caregiver, he would go in and work a 72-hour shift, changing diapers, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of disabled people and elderly people. He would go and do it himself. I've done it myself as well, but he would definitely do that. And if he decided to do that for if he did like a 72-hour shift once a week for like a month, then we were able to save a couple $1,000s. So, doing the work yourself is big. If you want to pay everybody to do everything right from the beginning, you're probably not going to get very far. You're going to run out of money. You got to be willing to do things yourself if you don't have the money. If you have plenty of money, I absolutely recommend outsourcing. Don't kill yourself if you don't have to. Okay, we're down to 2 viewers. I don't see any other questions. I gave the goal for the evening. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, please, to my YouTube channel. I see it's growing just, a little bit at a time. I appreciate it. I would love to see more people subscribing to show some support. It's Business Builder Basics YouTube channel. And all these videos end up being uploaded to the YouTube channel. Well, you hate to say it. What you about to say? Are you going to close out with your good night? Yep. You weren't here like yesterday. I was going all night waiting for you. I was like, he didn't say it yet, so it's not over. Hey, Kristen. All right, so Derek has declared the night is over. So you guys boss up, tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow will be day 12. Come back and see me. Derek, don't play. We gotta find Barbara too. Where's Barbara? I need all my people who committed to the challenge to stick with me. All right? So I'll see you guys tomorrow.